Hello, and welcome back to my channel. And for those of you who might be new, my name is Shelly, and here we discuss everything to do with books and literature. So we have a lot of fun discussions. We talk about the scandals, the drama, but we also talk about what books you should be reading, talk about the problems in the book world, the problems in book talk, even booktube sometimes. And it's been really, really fun. But as we are wrapping up the year, I decided to be a bit more interactive. And so I wanted to ask you guys what you want to see in terms of like what video you want next. So I created a short poll with just two options. Do you want to hear the 2025 goals, or do you want to hear what we're leaving behind in 2024? And what we're leaving behind in 2024 won, but in the comments, a few people actually said, it'd be cool if you did both. And you know what? It's not like I'm going to be stopping booktube. It's not like this is going to be my last video. So why not give you both? So I've chosen to do both. And so today what we're discussing is the goals which I have set for myself for 2025. And I'm very, very optimistic about all these goals because I don't think that they're too ambitious, but I think there is ambition behind them. I'm not just lazing about. And I'm really excited. Now, since this is my booktube channel, obviously I'm going to be focusing on the goals which are more book centered because I have a variety of goals, around all the different areas of my life. But I'm more so just going to be discussing with you guys what I think would, concern you since you are here for the books and the books alone. And I actually think that this is going to be a fairly short video, but I always say that and then we end up having a 30-minute video. So let's see what happens, okay? So first and foremost, in terms of reading goals, Shelly, what are your goals for reading in 2025? Now, in 2023, I set a goal for 100 books, and I somehow accomplished that, and I was super proud, but I ended up in such a horrendous slump. Now, even though I set my goal for 2023 to be 100 books, I wasn't going to make it a yearly thing. I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I'm very proud of myself. So in 2024, I set my goal to be 40 books. Did not achieve that. But you know what's so amazing? I don't care. I'm not actually fussed about not achieving that. We've spoken about how with the social media world that we are in, especially, from hearing from so many content creators, what they're reading, how many books they're reading, how many books they achieved in this year and that. And there can be a lot of pressure. And with this year, with my reading being slow, I was not too fussed with it. I was enjoying going back to slow-paced reading. And that being said, when I read those 100 books, I did not read just to read. I can tell you about all the books I read. I can tell you about the plot, the story, what I liked, what I didn't like, the ratings. Like, I can tell you about the books because though I read that many books, I actually took my time with them. It's more so I sacrificed things like sleep and social life, but I didn't sacrifice actually taking in the books, which a lot of people do. They can't tell you about the books. And while I won't be able to tell you chapter by chapter what happened in a book, I'll always be able to tell you generally what happened in that book, who was in that book, whether I like that book. I can tell you main details, but when you're reading as much, let's be real, I'm not going to be able to tell you what happened on page 35 and 36 and all the way through to page 400. It's not gonna happen, okay? Unless you were like a 5-star book and you are seared into my brain, then I can tell you. But with that being said, I was very, very happy with myself for actually like not feeling pressure to read, and sacrifice so much just to achieve that goal of 40. So the year isn't over yet, so that's fine, especially because now that things are cooling down in the other areas of my life, I'm actually reading more. I've read more in December than I've read in most of my other months, if not all of the other months. And I love that. So I might get to the goal, but I highly doubt it. I very highly doubt it because I have not even cracked 30 yet. I've read like 20 or 20 something books really. And I'm okay with that. I'm very happy. I've reread a lot of books because when you're going through a slump, one of the best things to do, or one of the things that you find you can do, is just read books that you loved before. And I enjoy doing that. I reread. There were some books I just reread over and over and over again, and I was just smiling throughout. I was just like, I'm not fussed. I do not care. And so, with that being the case, but me seeing that I am slowly coming out of my slump, towards the end of this year, I'm not setting it as high as 40, but I'm not setting it as low as 20 where I currently am now. I'm setting it to be 36 books. So the idea behind that is that I want to read at least 3 books a month. I'm not going to tell myself, oh, read 1 book a week, because there are some weeks that are either too busy, or I'm just not in the mood, or I'm just not in the headspace. Like, I just can't read. And so I'm not going to say, oh, I want to read 52 books. 1 book a week is doable, right? Because sometimes it's not, and that's completely okay. But I think within a month, 3 months, 3 books is completely doable. I think within a month, if I start a book this week and I don't finish it, I can do it. I can finish it next week. Especially if you know me, you know that I practice multi-reading. So I read multiple books at a time because I'm a mood reader. I'll be reading a book. If something happens to a favorite character or something just happens that irritates me, I'm putting that book down for a minute and I'm picking up a book immediately. So at any given point in time, I'm reading at least 5, 6 books. I'm not joking. And so, that being the case, I know that if I don't finish 1 book this week, I'll probably finish 2 books another week because I've already started like 6 books. And so that's completely okay. And so I've set a goal that I'm just like, it's completely achievable, but I will also not be fussed if I don't achieve it. And if and when I surpass it, I will also not be fussed. I'll be proud, and that's it. So that is the first goal I'm reading. That is the first goal I'm setting for myself. I think it's doable, and I think it's definitely a smart goal. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? It is perfect for me. And I'm very happy with that. Now, the next goal that I have is something that I'm actually super, super excited for. And we have to look into a bit of the background with this and why I'm excited for it. So when I first got into books, and I always tell people, oh, I haven't been reading that long. But I realized I've been saying that for a few years now. I've been reading for about 4 or 5 years now, like consistently. It's not just like I pick up a book, I like it, and I read like 1 or 2 books a year. I'm reading consistently. And that's been like 4 or 5 years, basically since the pandemic. And so I'm just like, while I haven't been reading like others who have been reading since childhood, I feel like I can't say, oh, I've only been reading for a short while anymore. Like Shelley, it's actually been a good amount of time at this point. And that's amazing. But I remember when I first started reading, I said to myself, oh my goodness, I fell in love with books, like properly fell in love. And I realized what I had been missing out on since childhood. And I recognized that, wow, so you guys have been having this since you guys were kids. And so I thought back to all the adventures I missed out on, even if that meant like the books of children that I didn't get to read. I felt like, oh my goodness, I definitely want to experience that. And so I told myself that one way or another, one day or another, I am going to catch up to all that I missed out on. And so I told myself I'm going to be reading all of the old books that I didn't get to read when I was younger. Even if they might be, slightly immature for me. But you guys know that I read all books. I read middle grade books and I love them. I even read children's books and I enjoy them. And so I know with that mindset, it wouldn't be an issue for me. But as I read more and more books started coming out that sounded super interesting and, I wanted to read them, my focus shifted to the present day. So I was more so reading books that were coming out or books that had been recently released in, the last 2, 3 years, last 1 year or so. But, and we've spoken about this on this channel, the deterioration of literature and the quality of books coming out nowadays is definitely. Now, you will definitely find some amazing books with great quality, great plot, great storyline, but a lot of books these days are kind of like, And so, with that being the case now, I don't feel as much of an urge to be reading all the books that are coming out. I'm just like, I'll read you eventually. But I'm not so focused on you that I am going to be ignoring the past books that I said I really wanted to experience for the first time. Because if you've been with me for a while, you know that last year I read Percy Jackson for the very first time. And it was the best experience of my life. It was absolutely amazing. And for those of you who have read Percy Jackson, whether that be as a kid or as an adult, you just know the first time reading Percy Jackson, it's amazing. I'm just like, it doesn't matter how old you are, that series is iconic. Now, I know some people will say, oh yeah, Shelley, it doesn't end after the first 5 books. There are a lot of series to come. I know. I've already started, I've gotten the next set in the Percy Jackson universe, and I'm going to read it. But I'm still kind of mourning the first read. And I feel like most readers, after you've read like a book that's amazing, we all kind of have this feeling of, I will never be able to read this book for the first time again. I'll never be able to experience these things for the first time. I can reread and reread, which is what I've been doing, but I'll never have that feeling of that first experience ever again. And it hurts. So I haven't touched the next series because I read the Percy Jackson series in like 3 weeks. The entire like first 5 books, I read it. And then I got the next set immediately. But I was mourning Percy Jackson. I was mourning my first experience that I literally cast into the side. And I said, when I feel better, I'll get to you. And then obviously I got lost in all the other books I was reading and I never did it. But next year, I want to go back to what I said I was going to do and read the books that I missed out on as a child, first and foremost. And I've already started doing that. Like over the last few weeks, I've been reading the How to Train Your Dragons books. First of all, we have to talk about books to movies. I know we've spoken about the book to movie pipeline, but I'm on like book 4 of that series, and to this point, I do not know where they pulled the plot for the movie from. I'm just like, you guys pulled it out of your butt, because these books have not translated to the movie yet, like not even the first film. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should rewatch the movies because something is amiss. Something is clearly amiss. The movies are still amazing. I love the movies, but it's so different. It's not the same. They're not the same anymore. Like, they're not the same. I know that there are creative liberties. The book and the movie are not the same. They're not the same series at all. I'm telling you now. Like I said, it's okay. It's super childish, and I actually love that about it. I'm just like, that's hilarious. I really do wish I got to experience that as a child, because I feel like I would have been cackling. But that's okay. But aside from experiencing the books I didn't get to experience as a child because I wasn't a reader, I am also very, very ready, very excited, very kind of prepared to make my official entry into the high fantasy, epic fantasy life. Oh my gosh! I know I'm I'm squealing like a little schoolgirl, but I'm genuinely so excited. I went on a retreat a couple of weeks ago, and one of the speakers, she's absolutely so lovely, and I was like, her seminar was amazing, and afterwards she stayed with us. We cooked together, like, she cooked with all of the different cabins, and I found out that she was a reader, and we had like this hour-long conversation just talking about books and the literature world, and how it's evolving. And then she was just like, oh, what are your favorite books? And obviously I was telling her the books that I read now, and then she was telling me her favorite books, and she had read all of the classics, the originators of epic fantasy. And it made me remember that when I first started reading, I wanted to delve into these books. I wanted to go into these high fantasy worlds that had like amazing world building and just beautiful characters and character depth. But then I, abandoned it for like what was coming out quickly and quickly. And also because some of those books intimidated me. But then, her telling me like her views, and, we have a lot of, similar viewpoints when it comes to books of today and just reading in general. And her telling me her favorite books, it reignited that like drive to read or get into those epic fantasy books. And I know I told you guys earlier on in the year that I wanted to get into epic fantasy. And so I bought Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, because everyone says it's a great entryway to his universe, because he has about 30 books. But I have yet to touch it because of intimidation. But next year, I am set. I've been like, I am set on like reading Brandon Sanderson, John Gwynne, Robin Hobbs, Christopher Paolini, because yes, I have yet to read the Aragon series, and I feel bad because I love the movie. And J.R.R. Tolkien, don't judge me, because remember, I did not read as a child, so of course I have not read The Lord of the Rings. Don't judge me, okay? Garth Nix and Joe Abercrombie and Patrick Rothfuss, like, I have all of these authors who have been on my wish list for, I kid you not, 4 or 5 years since I started reading, because they were some of the first books that obviously came to my, introduction when I was, looking into the books. But when I first started reading, obviously, I first got into thrillers and YA dystopian. That was my entry point to actually like loving reading. The dystopian era is when like I was just like, Okay, I'm getting into it. And then when got into fantasy, I started doing my research, and of course, those names came up. And so I researched and I found their books, and they were like intimidating. And I'm just like, I'll get to you, but then I didn't. But next year, I am set on fully going deep, deep high fantasy. And it's so exciting, but it's also very, very scary because yeah, like I've not entered like high fantasy worlds. Like I think I've had glimpses in like my past readings where some worlds are really so intricate that I cannot deny that it's, high fantasy, or it has a semblance of high fantasy in it. But I haven't been like fully in high fantasy. But it's time. It's time. And I want to take you guys on the journey, and I'm scared because I'm just like, I was meant to take you guys on the journey of me and Brandon Sanderson, but I didn't. But because like it's a new year, and obviously like I have gone through this slump, and I definitely attribute this slump this year to kind of like maybe me getting bored with the same old books that I'm reading this year, where they're really just copying and pasting each other, or I'm just like the quality is kind of like meh. I'm ready for I'm ready for 5-star reads, 4-star reads, like epic high fantasy that I can like melt over. And that's so exciting for me. That's so exciting. So yeah, that's one of my goals for next year. So in the 36 books that I plan to read next year, majority should be old school books, maybe middle grade that I didn't get to read when I was younger, and high fantasy. Obviously, there are the other books. I will definitely be reading books that come out as they come out, especially if they sound good or they're from a favorite author. For example, the Legendborn cycle will continue, and I'm pretty sure the next book comes out next year, and so I'm not just gonna not read that. And obviously other books like Heavenly Tyrant, which is a sequel to Iron Widow, which I've been waiting for ages. Even the sequel to Blood Scion by Deborah Falaye. A lot of books that I have been waiting for the sequels, and their sequels have been delayed, or they're just taking time writing their books. A lot of those books are coming out next year, so yeah, I'm still gonna read those books. I'm not gonna forget about them, but my priority is to focus on my missed experiences as a child and my high fantasy, epic fantasy journey, and I'm super excited for that. Now, see, this next step, yeah, or this next goal is something that I'm actually still conflicted about it, as in I don't know if I'm going to do it, but it's something that I really want to do. So yeah, maybe you guys can tell me if I should go through with it. But essentially, if you guys have seen my Meet the Booktuber video, I know not a lot of people have seen it, so maybe a few of you, maybe none of you. Basically, and I don't blame you, it was like an hour long. But I can gab. And so like it's a Meet the Booktuber video where I tell you guys basically about myself. So I told you guys everything about me. And I think what people saw from that video is that I actually have a lot of interest alongside my love of books. Yes, I love books, but I love manga, I love manhwa, I love anime, which obviously if you love manga and manhwa, obviously you guys would assume that. I do love webtoons, but outside of those, outside of like just literature focused things, I love video games, and I haven't like properly been engaged in video games for so long because life is so chaotic. But I love video games. I love F1. I love basketball, and I'm just getting back into it because for the last few years I haven't really been engaged. But my team won the last year's championship, and believe me, as someone who was with them from like their championship and failure era, Celtics, I've been with them since like 2009. Since like they won their championship and have been going to championships and have been losing and back and forth. I have been with them since then. So it's literally been over a decade of suffering for me. So you can't really blame me for not being involved. But no, that's not really why I wasn't to engage. It's because like it's a 6-hour difference, and to watch every game is hard. Yeah, into F1. I'm into like quite a lot of things. I am into comic books. I am a huge nerd all the way around. So obviously books, manga, anime, comic books, video games. I'm very much just a full-blown nerd, and I've loved that about me. I've accepted it and I love it. But you have all of these loves, all of these loves that I have, all of these parts of me that are essential and integral to who I am and what's made me who I am, the views that I have. And I don't get an opportunity to share it on this channel because this channel is really centering just books, or books that come in novel format, Western books, not other formats, not other types of literature. And I've always been conflicted about that, because even when it comes to books, I don't just read fantasy and thrillers. I told you guys, like, I love learning. So I've read books on philosophy, I've read books on law, I've read books on theology, but that also has to do with the fact that, my faith is an integral part of who I am. I have so many parts of me that I don't get to share, because this book page is a book page. Obviously, I love to travel, and I take so much content when I travel, but I don't really share it as much. All this to say that next year I wanted to find a way to broaden what I share on this channel. And so, what I am still conflicted about and still thinking about doing, so let me know, was creating a podcast. So, the BookTube channel will still be BookTube, and on here we're going to discuss book issues, what's going on in the book world. We're going to do book reviews as we normally do, because I love that we can do that, and I love discussing with you guys, going back and forth in the comments. Even if it gets a bit heated, I really do enjoy that we can have that level of discourse on this channel. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't introduced the other parts of me on this channel, because I don't want it to become so jumbled up that we end up confused and we can't find what we want. So the whole idea for the podcast was to have a space to bring a few more of my interests into the fray in, just a really, really fun format. So the podcast would be about the other sides of nerd life. So I would have like just fun times to have debates about other nerd topics, mainly about the things in the comic world and the things in the manga and anime world. It would just give me an opportunity to just be able to geek out really about those other sides. I would speak about my faith. I would speak about my love for comics, my love for anime. I still don't want to overwhelm you guys, but it would give me an opportunity to, have more space to share. And so the podcast would be chaotic, but I feel like podcasts are always chaotic anyway. And because they always have multiple segments, I can have a segment for each of my loves, or a few more of my loves. Whereas the BookTube can just focus on books and literature as it's always done. But yeah, because once again, I don't want to bombard people. And I'm just like, I don't know if it will all mesh well together. But there's also that thought in my head that of course they will mesh well together, because they all mesh well together within yourself. And so I'm still conflicted, but I might like just throw out maybe a few pilot episodes just to see how they're received. And even if they're not received as well, if I enjoy it, because at the end of the day, if I enjoy it, I'm gonna do it. You guys know how it is over here. But yeah, that's one of my goals that I think are not as solid as the other ones, because once again, I'm still a bit conflicted. But yeah, that is one of my goals, and I'm also excited for, but hesitant to actually go through with. Now, one of the other goals that I have for next year is also something that I'm just like, okay, I'm excited to do this, but I know it's going to be maybe a bit more hard work than the other goals. And that is leveraging my love for books into a passive income stream. Now, I know some of you might say, oh, but Shelly, don't you make passive income? Yes, but I want something that's more consistent. And I want something that's more passive, because creating videos is not passive, okay? I am here. I'm speaking to you, and I have to edit these videos, and editing is not easy, guys. I love what I do. I love speaking about books. I love reading the books. I love delving into the literature world and actually like doing research. I love it, which is why I still do it, even though it's hard work. But I want something that I can set up and then have passive income, And I feel like a lot of us are in the same boat. I feel like a lot of us are just wanting to have a passive income stream so that we can survive this cost of living crisis, but also even post cost of living crisis, we just want some extra money, okay? It doesn't hurt anyone to have extra money. It hurts some people because some people have too much money already. Basis. It doesn't hurt anyone. Well, the normal people like us, like me and you, if you're normal, if you're like super rich and you're watching this video, welcome. If you ever feel like donating to a charity case, but I'm joking, kind of. But yeah, so I want to leverage my books into a way to, generate passive income, because if I'm going to generate passive income, I would definitely love it. I would definitely love for it to be by doing something that I already love, which is why I say I want to leverage my love for books. Because, it will basically mean that just like this YouTube channel, I'm just doing something I love and good is coming from it. And I feel that if I'm doing that, then, there's nothing bad for that. That's absolutely lovely. And so that is like, in terms of like my book centric goals, that's one of the last ones on my list. So I know like some people might be saying, "Ooh, Charlie, that's interesting. Let us know how you're going to do it, or if you find a way to do it." And yeah, I definitely will let you guys know, because I already have something in the works. Just have to like get the details out and actually start like churning out the actual work to produce that income. But yeah, I already have something in the works, and hopefully I will be able to tell you guys about it very, very soon. But that is it for me, guys. Those are my book centric goals for 2025. Obviously, like I said, I have other goals. I have other goals. I have savings goals. As I told you guys, I love to travel, and I'm going back to my roots. And my roots being that a few years ago, people just knew me as Shelly was always out of the country at all times. Like I would just be on a plane at every opportunity that I got. And that was definitely easier as a student, or even during placement, but now it's definitely harder. I have so much more responsibility. But I'm going back to my roots, and I'm going to find the cracks in the year where I can travel. And so I've already planned a lot of like holidays and trips, and I'm super excited to be able to travel more freely next year. And I might even, share my travels with you guys, or, on a different platform. I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to travel. And one thing with me is I always travel with a book. Even though people are just like, Shell, you have no space. I don't care. I will find space. Suitcase, hand, under my shirt. I don't care. I'm always traveling with a book to read. And so maybe I can show you guys like my journeys traveling with my books. But definitely, if I ever come across something very, very interesting, or go on a tour and I meet an author or whatever, I will obviously include it on this channel. Because yeah, one thing I definitely do when I travel is I always make a point to visit like their libraries, and I have seen some gorgeous libraries on my travels. It's been amazing. And so yeah, like next year I'm super excited for what's to come, what's to be achieved. And yeah, even with my writing, I have goals for my writing. Who knows what's to come of that? But yeah, guys, I'm super excited for 2025. I feel like it's going to be a better year, not just for me, but I can just feel like it's going to be a better year for everyone, and I really hope that that is the case. But that is me, guys. As always, be sure to, do what you got to do. Like, comment, share. But with your comments, let me know, what are your goals for 2025? You can just tell me your reading goals, like, what you plan to read. If you plan to join us on YouTube, if you're not already here. And you can also share maybe some extra goals that you have just for life. Let us continue. Because one of my other goals as well, is to really engage more with us, with the community. I'm super, super excited for us as a community. YouTube, they're making some changes, and they're actually going to make it easier for us to interact on the community. But there are other ways for us to interact, guys. I always do polls on the community tab. I don't know if you guys use it, but I always do polls, to help engage. And I definitely always love just, interacting with you guys. But I do have my memberships as well, where I will definitely be posting more private thoughts and more interactive parts, more so on my memberships than the other parts of YouTube. So sorry. But yeah, because to have a whole other platform on Patreon kind of seems long, so I'm going to leverage as much as I can YouTube. And with YouTube, I think I should mention my YouTube goals as well, because this year has been so amazing, and I never thought I'd get to this point. Because you might not believe this, but my goal for 2024 was to get to 1,000 subscribers. 1,000. And to get to the end of 2024, and I'm almost at 10,000, is something that I I never would have counted on. I never would have expected. And I'm still mind blown every time I see the subscriber count. And so I don't think this will be the last video I post for the year, but if it is, obviously Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. But also, like, yeah, thank you guys for like being with me and coming along on this journey with me. It's been super fun, especially if you've been with me since the first 100, the first 20. Like, if you've been with me for that long, like, what up, my peoples? But like, yeah, it's been so great to kind of just see this channel grow. So next year, in terms of booktube, my goal is obviously to round it out and actually achieve that 10,000, because I think that'd be so cool. And I think when I definitely achieve it, I'll do a giveaway. YouTube doesn't allow giveaways, not technically, but I'm still gonna do it, guys, because I have to celebrate you guys who have come along with me on this journey, because I love you guys so much. And once again, I'm genuinely grateful for you guys coming along with me on this journey and like interacting and all your comments and all the fun that we have in the comments, and all the shade that we throw and how petty we are together. Like, I love that for us so much. Because even you guys being supporting me, like, it definitely helps like this channel go to certain heights. I did this will come out next year, but if you see this video, you see this video. I did an interview with USA Today because of a video that blew further than I thought it would on this channel. And so honestly, your support is awesome. I love you guys. For you people who watch me and don't subscribe, pull up. I'm joking. I love you guys. But yeah, I am so excited to hit 10,000 and beyond in 2025. If we can get to 15 in 2025, I'll be so excited. So yeah, once again, all the love for you guys. I don't think this will be the last video for the year, but if it is, once again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and next year is gonna be like double the fun, 100%, and I can't wait. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.